What's up, Clipsy crew? Get ready for a news blast that's gonna blow your minds. We're diving deep into the incredible stories that are shaking up the world of music and beyond. First up, we've got a mind-bending tale about Julian Lennon and how a classic Procol Harum track became his earliest musical memory, all thanks to a wild night at the Rolling Stones Rock and Roll Circus. Then, we're getting into John Lennon's surprising take on the Rolling Stones' legendary performances, revealing his true thoughts on Mick Jagger's stage presence. But hold on, it gets weirder. An Abergavenny man claims he actually summoned the spirit of John Lennon himself using an arcane ceremony. You won't believe the details. And finally, we're rewinding to April 6th, 1970, a week so stacked with hits from the Beatles, Jackson 5, and John Lennon, it might just be the most classic chart week in history. Don't miss any of it. Hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and join the Clipsy family. This open doorway, the Procol Harum masterpiece that changed Julian Lennon's life. Imagine being just 5 years old and stepping through an open doorway into a world of purple light and the haunting melody of Procol Harum's A Whiter Shade of Pale. For Julian Lennon, this wasn't just a moment. It was his very first musical memory, a profound experience that shaped his artistic journey. It happened in December 1968, when his father, John Lennon, and Yoko Ono took him to the filming of the Rolling Stones Rock and Roll Circus. Amidst the sensory overload of costumes, stilt walkers, and frightening clowns, the Baroque pop masterpiece of A Whiter Shade of Pale, playing in the background, created an indelible impression. Julian recalls the song's unique chord changes as a key element that influenced his own approach to playing, writing, and recording music. This iconic track, later voted the best British pop single 1950-1977, resonated so deeply with young Julian that it even overshadowed the performances of the Stones themselves and other legendary acts like Taj Mahal and The Who present at the event. It's a powerful reminder of how music, at its purest, can create lifelong connections and artistic inspiration. This story is a beautiful reminder of music's lasting power. But speaking of legendary figures and unexpected encounters, get ready for John Lennon's candid thoughts on another rock icon. A master performer, John Lennon's passionate support of the Rolling Stones. While many artists grapple with the fear of aging out of rock and roll, John Lennon had a different philosophy. Embrace where you are in your musical journey. He believed in writing music that reflected his current life rather than rehashing old hits. Even as the Beatles were concluding their unparalleled career with Abbey Road, and the music world was shifting towards heavier sounds with bands like Led Zeppelin, Lennon was forging his own raw, honest path with Plastic Ono Band. Yet he held immense respect for his contemporaries who continued to evolve. Despite any perceived rivalry, Lennon was a staunch admirer of the Rolling Stones, particularly their enduring power and stage presence. He famously defended them against claims of being too old, calling Mick Jagger a master performer after witnessing a fantastic TV show. Lennon recognized that even as other bands faltered, the Stones, with Jagger's electrifying charisma and dynamic performances, were entering a golden era. Albums like Sticky Fingers, Goat's Head Soup, and Exile on Main St. solidified their status as rock royalty. Lennon understood that Jagger's ability to command a stage, even with less iconic songs, was a testament to his unparalleled skill as an entertainer, a trait he clearly appreciated. Lennon's respect for Jagger is undeniable. But what if someone claimed they could actually talk to John Lennon? Prepare for a story that's out of this world. Abergavenny man claims he summoned forth the spirit of John Lennon. In a tale that blurs the lines between reality and the paranormal, an Abergavenny man named Johnny Turnip claims to have successfully summoned the spirit of John Lennon. What started as a quest for Potato Creek Johnny's pot of fairy gold, apparently advised by the ghost of F. Scott Fitzgerald himself, led Turnip and his companions on an unconventional spiritual journey. Fitzgerald, describing himself as a mere observer and not a supernatural expert, reportedly guided them to seek Lennon's spectral assistance. After a bizarre encounter involving a mysterious doorway and Fitzgerald's vanishing act, Turnip's group decided to perform an occult ceremony. Armed with a Google search, a quiet room, and Turnip's self-proclaimed dabbling in mediumship, they prepared to connect with the infinite. The ritual itself was fraught with comical disagreements. Should they sit inside or outside the magic circle? Puerto Rico Paul, citing his mother's witchcraft and a brief encounter with Aleister Crowley, argued for being inside the circle for protection, while Big Tony remained skeptically focused on the djinn. Ultimately, they conceded to Paul's plan. Their attempt to contact Lennon involved visualizing his spirit form and playing Tomorrow Never Knows at deafening volume while chanting. Astonishingly, they claimed to have heard a disembodied voice reply, complaining about the noise and pointing out they were on the wrong side of the circle, a truly unbelievable, if not slightly infuriating, spectral response. The full account of these manifest trials and tribulations is now available. From summoning spirits to charts that defined an era, our next story takes us back to a truly monumental week in music history. April 6, 1970, the most classic hit-filled week in chart history. The 1970s were a decade of incredible musical diversity, from progressive rock to punk, building on the psychedelic innovations of the 60s. While pop charts don't always capture the absolute best, they certainly reflect the times. Consider the stark contrast between the mainstream tastes of June 1977, topped by Rod Stewart, and the punk defiance of the Sex Pistols, God Save the Queen, at number 2. However, few weeks rivaled the sheer musical powerhouse of the week spanning April 6 to April 11, 1970. This was a pivotal time. Apollo 13 launched, Midnight Cowboy won an Oscar, and Paul McCartney famously quit the Beatles. The U.S. top 5 for that week was nothing short of legendary. The Beatles' Let It Be at number 1, followed by Jackson 5's ABC, John Lennon's Instant Karma, Norman Greenbaum's Spirit in the Sky, and Simon and Garfunkel's Bridge Over Troubled Water. This staggering lineup features some of music's biggest names, showcasing an incredible breadth of genres, from the lingering peace and love vibe of Spirit in the Sky to the unstoppable Motown factory of Jackson 5 and the Beatles' epic Farewell. Even Spirit in the Sky, arguably the weakest link, is an iconic track that could have topped charts any other week. This chart week doesn't just reflect the diverse sounds of the 70s. It perfectly captures a moment in cultural history, making it a strong contender for the most classic-filled week ever. What an incredible journey through music history. We've covered life-changing concerts, legendary performances, and even a paranormal encounter. That's all for today's news breakdown, but don't go anywhere yet. What an epic rundown. We heard how Julian Lennon's life was changed by Procol Harum at the Rolling Stones Rock and Roll Circus, how John Lennon admired Mick Jagger as a master performer, the wild claim of summoning John Lennon's spirit, and a look back at the legendary chart week of April 6, 1970. If you loved this deep dive, smash that like button, subscribe to Clipsy for more amazing stories, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an update. Share this video with your friends, and let us know in the comments which story blew your mind the most. You can also follow us on all social media platforms for behind-the-scenes content and more. See you in the next one.